Hello, my name is Philip. I'm a filmmaker, and today I'm going to be reviewing Arcane, League of Legends Netflix series, episodes 4 through 6, that second batch that just dropped. Absolutely incredible. We actually watched the first episode over on my Twitch channel together. It was so much fun, and I want to hop right into this review. As always, right after I watched it, I want to get these thoughts out of my head. Thank you for the very positive reaction to my first review of the first episode of Arcane. I've done a lot of League of Legends reactions to like KDA music videos. As I said before, when I reviewed one of the Arcane trailers, I got copyright like extinct on my YouTube channel. They hit me so hard. Netflix does not like stuff on YouTube from their content, so I'm not going to show any media. Again, I apologize, but I'm sure you guys understand copyright is insane on YouTube, so we just got to be safe. But let me know if you agree with me down in the comments. I think they did so much well in this series, and as I've seen the next batch of episodes, like, it's kind of confirmed my suspicions that this is just absolutely fantastic. Like, it's doing so much incredibly right. So if you've been enjoying my League of Legends reviews, my cinematic reactions, my Final Fantasy, my Genshin Impact stuff, please make sure to subscribe. We're going on 20,000 subscribers here on the channel, so make sure to leave a like if you want to see more League stuff, and make sure to check out my main YouTube channel if you want to see my film work. But let's get into it. Let me know in the comments, like, what's your thoughts on this show, and who is your favorite character portrayal from the show? Because from what I understand, these characters are kind of opaque in League of Legends itself. Also, keep in mind, I am not a League player. I've just reacted to several of the cinematics, so I don't know every single bit of lore and every single bit of character. It's actually been one of the joys of the show for me as a non-League like super fan. It's been really cool to try and pick out, it's like, oh, I wonder if that's a playable character, if that's just a character made up for the show. So it's been really fun to kind of slowly figure that out and have these revelations. And then I've actually seen a couple of like weapons and stuff come to light now, where I'm like, oh, I remember that person, like Caitlyn. I remember Caitlyn from one of the trailers now that I watched. She had like a top hat on, kind of like a steampunk type thing, and I remember her like sniping these guys. As I said before, the animation style is absolutely incredible. It has this painterly, very like brushstroke look to it somehow. Somebody told me in the comments before that they actually didn't use mocap for this. That's crazy. There's a scene where Vi actually stands off against, I can't remember the woman's name, the woman who had her arm kind of like modified after she got blown up. And there's this amazing fight scene, and it's so well choreographed, and it's so kind of like realistically moved, even though stuff is exaggerated to make it bigger and stuff, because you can in animation. So believably done. So that was a big standout for me. And still, the character motivations, the motivations behind the choices are very believable in this. They're just making sure not to make the people who live on top just come across as like monsters, idiots. And when they do it, they'll do it in a way, like when they show Caitlyn, she actually says to Vi at one point, like, what do you mean you don't have any parents? Like, what do you mean you don't have parents? What happened to your parents? It's like such a foreign idea to her that you would grow up as an orphan. It's like she's not a bad person. She's just so far removed from it and had like such a cushy life. She doesn't even know what it's like to, struggle and not even have one parent, much less zero parents. So I thought that was really cool. Another thing that I have to shout out here is the editing and the storyboarding. And like, there's a couple of the montages in this show. Montages can be, they can be a bit overdone at times. They can be a bit overused, a bit tired, but there's been so many in the show. I think I've lost count at this point, and they are like, some are good, some are mind blowing. There's going to be mild spoilers, just saying. I won't go into crazy detail, but there's going to be a little bit more spoilers because we're getting deeper into the show. There's a scene where Vi and Caitlyn punch over this big sign, and it falls down, and and they escape and everything in the Undercity. This montage is just so well done, like kind of this weird fever dream. Like really muted sound as the villain's like stomping out the corpses of his failed troops and stuff. It's so powerful. And, they're making their escape. And then Jinx lights up this kind of like torchlight that Vi said, if you ever need me, light this up and I'll find you. And it's just so well done. It's so satisfying because, I was watching with Leah and we're sitting there and it's like, I was like, of course she's gonna find her. She's got to see it. She's got to see it. And she's going to see it. And it's like this victorious moment where she holds it up and the camera circles around. And you actually see her fallen brothers that she murdered, who are like with her inside her mind forever, but they're like immortalized as children. And so it's so crazy and so powerful. And it's like this victorious moment where she's taking back her childhood, right? She's like, she's going to be Powder again, in that moment. She's calling out to her sister instead of being like angry about it. Such a powerful scene, and the music choice is on point for all these. Like, it's been amazing, absolutely, just well edited, and There's these cool effects. I talk about this in the first trailer I analyzed, which got copyright destroyed. And I showed too much of it, so it probably didn't include much of my analysis actually. But it was a scene where it's the scene where she's in the original base. She goes back to where she was as a kid, and she does the boxing mini game, and you actually see, like, as she's boxing, you see Vi's like shadow and her memory and stuff, and it's so well done. But you see these the crazed sort of like phantoms of the brothers that she killed, like in these weird kind of like child crazed drawings, like appearing on the screen as if someone like drew on a light table over, or like drew on the film. It's crazy. It looks so like erratic and disturbing and everything. It's so well done. That brings me to my next point, Jinx. Like the way they're portraying her just like mentally unstable condition is, it's really entertaining and like it's really engaging, but it's also really believable. And it's not, I think the reason I like it so much is they're not painting her as like this monster, like irredeemable human, you know? Like she's just a person who's been through horrible stuff, was already like super on the edge as a kid. And I love that, by the way, like living on the edge. She lives like on the edge of this insane fan, right? It's like super dangerous at all times. She is redeemable, and she's been through horrible stuff. She's been through trauma. Now, they don't paint her as just kind of like almost like a caricature of a human. It's like, oh, she's crazy now, so she's just evil and everything. It's really cool because she's been deceived. She's been manipulated by this villain, and you know, she doesn't deserve the stuff that happened to her, and she was already like a very troubled child, so it just kind of weighed too heavy on her. But I love how they portray it, like the editing again, like they'll swap her position, but the character behind her, there's a great over the shoulder shot of her and the villain where he's like yelling at her, but she can't hear because the music's blasting, and she's like teleporting across the screen, but he's not moving. And it's just showing like her, like both the passage of time and her like mental state is so different from his that like she almost can't connect with other people. And there's this great scene where of course, this is a big spoiler, just warning, where of course she reunites with Vi. She says like, wait, are you real? And she says, it was so sad. Yeah. This actually made me even more sad. She says like, everybody just hold on a second. I can't focus. And it's like, oh my God, she's that, you know, in her own head that she's hearing the voices of all her friends who are dead that she killed. It's so heartbreaking. But yeah, they portray in a great way. And of course, I don't know how it's going to end. Colors, the set design, the coloration, it's just so well done. Every set is beautiful. That's another thing Aaliyah said, right? It's like every frame's a painting type business where you can just pause it and sit there and be like, oh my God. They're doing a perfect example of using animation to do things that you can never do with a real camera, but not abusing it. So many people do this and they abuse it, and it's like, oh, cool. You know what else I can do with CG? I can move the camera like this. Ugh. Should I though? No, because it's stupid and it looks bad, right? So they're not doing that. They're using camera moves that are really like the guy on like those hoverboards. It's like a third faction. I can't remember what they're called. The guys, the green on the hoverboards. They are like spinning around through the air, and they do these cool camera moves where they follow them in like a 360 spin. So awesome. So awesome. But they do it in a way so it's not jarring. When they make stuff erratic, like I said, like the Jinx scenes is meant to make you feel like unstable. It's like, oh, she's really like in a bad state of mind. Like she can't focus. She has trouble focusing. Like she's probably got extreme ADHD or something too, right? And it's just so so good at representing that. Another thing I have to mention is the romance. It's so subtly done, and this goes for not just the romance, but it's a particularly good example of this that came to mind. Show don't tell. So much show don't tell in this show, and it's so well done. The romance sequences and the hints and the blossoming romance has been amazing, and you know, just the character relationships in general. There's a scene with Jace, and he goes and spends time with Mel, and they have the romance developing, and then Victor is in the lab working. Like it's like he's frustrated, he's sick, he probably thinks he doesn't have long with his life, and this lab assistant who's like unnamed actually comes up to him, and she says, oh please, like she clearly has feelings for him. He's like, do you want to go, you know, do you need help walking home, do you want to hang out tonight? And he's like, no. And she's like, yeah, but you did that the night before. And it's just hinting at like, man, there's this whole thing. But like, it was using show, don't tell type storytelling to show. It's like, is he not interested in her? Is he not interested in women? Does he have feelings for Jace? Like, we don't know, right? But it's just giving these nice little like breadcrumb trail. And it's not ham-fisted. It's not over the top. And then at the same time, we have Vi and Caitlyn in this sort of like brothel situation. I don't know what it was exactly, but this kind of like love shack type of thing. I don't know what's going on there, But there's another like really subtle stuff. It's not like bashing you over the head where like, you know, she likes women. It's just very subtle, which is cringe. It's cringe when shows do that about anything. Hey, this is a good time to talk to you about today's video sponsor, The Ridge. They sent me this Ridge wallet as well as a backpack and a knife. It's been fantastic products. I can't sing the praises of them enough. I went to Iceland recently, as I said, and they are just so well made. This one's made out of titanium. You can do several different designs on the website, whichever you prefer, but this is great. As you can see, it's very small. As I said before, it holds in all my cards perfectly, my cash. There's this great cash clip on it. Everything's organized, everything's clean, everything is protected by this special technology that prevents people from digitally pickpocketing you and stealing your card and your information. So that's really great in today's age. Use my custom discount code PHIL, theridge.com/PHIL for a 10% discount off of these products. Check them out. Thanks, Ridge. They do this great thing where they show Caitlyn, she's like, men, women, what's it going to be? And this really cringe dude comes up and she's kind of like, she's doing a fake voice. She's not feeling it. And then you see Vi says like, oh, you're hot. You know, use your looks. Get some stuff going here. We'll get some information. And then like whatever, 10 minutes later, you see Caitlyn having a nice conversation with the girl and she's actually smiling. So it's like, oh, what does that mean? Maybe she just found a good friend. Maybe she's interested in her. It's very well done. And it's kind of just, it's giving questions to the audience. It's giving us little morsels to chew on. It's like, ooh, where could this lead? If that's going to be a story factor, where is that going to lead? There's a reason they showed that, right? It's like, wait, what about Vi and stuff? So it's very cool. Like, and most shows that set up stuff like this, it's so like in your face. It's like, well, we know where this is going to go, but it was very good. And they've set up the characters well enough where we actually called, immediately called. It's like, I bet Mel's going to make the move. We were like, oh, we kind of ship them. That's pretty cool. If they make a move, Mel's going to make the first move. And then she did it. We're like, yes. But we can make these stupid calls because they set it up right. So yeah, the romance has been incredible. But just, I would say the character relationships in general, the show don't tell, that was just a really good thing that we like were talking about because it was so awesome. And that seems to be continually well done. Again, I also like the scene where after Mel and Jace had their little like night together, he comes back and finds her painting. And there's actually a really cool thing where he's like, well, I didn't know you're an artist. And she's like, yeah, there's a lot you don't know about me. I hate it in movies when like, if people like kiss once, they're like what's the word? Inseparable. Like, you know, kind of like Disney princess type thing. Like they're just together forever and they know everything about each other, fully trust each other. That's not how life works. You have like a slowly developing relationship, right? So that was a really cool thing where it's kind of also audience is him, where it's like, oh, I didn't know she's an artist either, Jace. That's a really cool character thing that they gave her, you know? Really good point Aaliyah just made. She's on the couch drawing. I'm not just getting like, you know, voices from the ether or something. But she's talking about the class structure in the slums. So well portrayed, right? And they gave like very real world stuff where you've got some weird like doctor, quote unquote, in the slums. I think it's very topical, right? Who's like giving quote unquote medicine, make people feel better. And it's the freaking sauce. It's the juice. You know, it's the drugs. It's the steroids, whatever you want to call it, the purple stuff. Dipping a little bit of that in the medicine to get the people addicted. So then they have to come back to that doctor or they'll die. And you get this guy with like a growth coming out of his brain. I just wanted to feel powerful for a second. It's like, Jesus, you know, it's too real, right? But what a great way to kind of, again, not ham-fisted. Like it's so relevant within the story they've set up. It's not just like, oh, I want to make this an allegory now, so we're going to sidetrack the story and talk about the real world. It works for the real world allegory. It works for the show. It's just a really awesome example of storytelling that's not over the top. And it's heartbreaking. It's really well done. The bottom of the bottom, like you got the slums of the slums. You know, it's just so awesome that you keep seeing. It's like, oh, you think these guys are at the bottom? No. So it was very well done. Speaking of that, and the relationships between it, corrupt cops. You have this guy Marcus. Oh my God! Like what a good character. I'm like they set him up so well because in episode 1, 2, I'm like screaming at the TV. This guy's such a disgusting rat. You know, God damn it, Marcus! Somebody jack this guy. You know. And then in the current episodes, I'm like, what a good character. It's like I don't like him by any stretch, but it's like, oh, you see, he's got a daughter, he's got a family. He's trying to keep her alive. He's actually saved Vi's life and lied to that dude and risked his own life to put her in prison and off the record. There's no record of her or what she did or what her name is. She's just in the prison. So like, but there's consequences of that, right? The prison warden was abusing her because he's like, Nobody knows who she is or cares who she is or will vouch for her, including the cops. So I can abuse her whenever I want to. Cool. Again, very real world stuff, right? But they made it so they made that such a good character, Marcus, and now I'm like, oh, is he gonna be a hero at the end of it? I don't know. It's very interesting. I love the flashbacks. We talked about Victor's childhood. Very, very heartbreaking stuff. You see him as a kid, and it's just beautiful storytelling where they show he builds this little toy ship. He sees this local person in the slums, and she kind of like is looking at him like, what you doing down there? He wants to play with her, but he can't. He's injured, or he has a disability. And then he builds this little toy boat, and it's going down the river and stuff, but it goes too fast for him because he can't walk that fast because of his disability. The boat escapes him. He's going to lose his toy they just built, his great toy, his creation. He falls down and hits himself. It's like, man, that's the pattern for his life. Like, he can't move fast enough. His creations are going to outlive him. You know, he can't catch up with them. Like, he's his own situation is too crestfallen. It's like, what a great symbolism, right, for his entire life and what he's dealing with now in the story. He wants to build this. He wants to master this thing and perfect this situation with this like harnessed energy, but he can't do it. He's only got so much time. Right? It's going to go far beyond him. So I thought that was beautiful. And again, like, it's not over the top. It's just a kid trying to catch his toy boat he built, right? So it was very well done. But if you want to look more into it, it's all there. The bad guy, like, he kind of baptizes Jinx in this like filthy, rotten Hudson River, whatever it's supposed to be, you know, from the show, like you know, full of crap, and you can't even see like 1 inch into it. You know, he baptizes her in this how he was and everything, and it's kind of cool. It seems to have almost the reverse effect on her, because then she was like, I want to see my sister. But anyway, it was a really and that relationship. It's obviously meant to make you so uncomfortable. For obvious reasons, like, he's the bad guy. He killed her father figure. He's a rat. He's a traitor. He's drugging out people to slums and controlling them. Like, there's a million reasons to hate this guy. The most immediate one is like, get your hands off this girl who you're like creepily kind of grooming. It's like, it's disgusting, right? It's filthy, and it's great but you see this, like, from her perspective, he's like a guy who took her in. He's been the father figure. What's that? Yeah, it validates her. He's like, no, you're good. You're not crazy. Your creations are good. All these people are trying to comfort her, and she's always up in his office on the ceiling. Nobody knows she's there, and he always defends her to these people. He's like, no, we're not going to turn in Jinx. We're not going to throw her out, even though she blows people up indiscriminately and, you know, kills the masses whenever she feels like it. And that makes a big difference for her. When she was a kid, everybody's telling her your creations suck. They got us into trouble. Oh, by the way, they killed her, you know, family. So that's really obviously makes sense for the situation, but. Great villain, man. I saw him in the first episode. I'm like, this guy was kind of cheesy. Yeah. What is this, like, I'm a mad scientist with the fake eyes? I'm like, okay. But he's a really good character. I actually don't know if he's a character in the game, too. He has to be. There are all these people. I'm like, who's a character in the game? Who's not a character in the game? But that revelation of Caitlyn was so sick. Yeah. I was like, oh, I remember, she's the girl. She had the gun that like folds out, which she sold, you know, for some steroids. But I'm like, damn, that's crazy. she sold to get yoked up and stuff. So I really like Jace as a character. Very well-meaning person. He's not perfect. He's got his ambitions. King Yoda out of the Jedi Council. Very, very, you know, not recommended type move. But what I like about this character is he didn't want to be a politician. Yes, he is going against Master Yoda, who was there for him for much of his life. But Victor's dying. One of his closest friends, probably his closest friend. And like, you would try and keep your friend alive. Like, you would not listen to reason, and you would, you know, do things like that. That's a very believable human emotion. Even though we're yelling at the screen, like, what are you doing? You're going to blow up the whole city and stuff. But it's believable, right? It's not just like, oh, we need this guy to be stupid, so now he's going to be stupid. No, it's believable why he's making a bad decision. That's important for writing. But those are my basic thoughts on it. I am endlessly impressed. Again, every single episode that we watch, I'm like, oh, this is good. And then it gets better and it gets better. Like, so I cannot wait to see what they're doing. I can just say, like, the cinematography, the shot selection, like, it is so well done. I could talk about it all day. I don't want to make these too long, but those are my general thoughts. Let me know if you agree with each section or if you have any criticisms. As far as actual criticisms, I can't think of too many. Like, it's just they rose so high to the occasion. I can't believe it. Like, all the music videos they've made, all the trailers, all the crazy cinematics, they were finally like, this is our chance, man. We're doing it. And it's, from what it seems to be kind of like the Final Fantasy VII of League of Legends. You know, like the project where they just like it was the stars aligned. You had these great creative minds who finally were come together and do like the thing they've been wanting to do for years, like a cinematic thing. And that's the only thing I can compare it to, right? Like the Final Fantasy VII for Square Enix is, you know, Arcane for Riot. So it's just great. Let me know if you agree. I can't wait to see where it ends, and I'll probably do my final review when the 3 episodes are done, right? So that's going to be a lot of fun. But thank you so much for watching. Please come on over to Twitch if you want to chat live about this. That's always fun. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube. It's always a pleasure to have you guys enjoy these reviews. And if you want to see my League of Legends videos, I've done I don't even know how many at this point, a bunch of them between all the music videos and the game cinematics. So check them out. Let me know what you think. And thank you so much, guys, for the enthusiasm. I've enjoyed the show. So it's fun to talk about it. Goodbye.